I want to talk about boundaries today. Last week I talked about God's boundaries, but this week I'm talking about personal boundaries. Now, a boundary is like, for instance, my property, my house, my garden. The line around the outside edge is the definition of what belongs to me, my property. That is mine, and I get to choose who comes on my property, what they can do on it, and whether I will allow them or not. That's my choice, because it's my property. I have the ability to choose who I will allow. In the winter time, when people used to race around on my front garden with snowmobiles, I would have to go out there and tell them, please don't do that, that you're damaging bushes. And so I would not allow them to do that. That's my right. That's a boundary that I choose to put up. Now, if somebody comes into my house, they do it by invitation. If they just come to the door and walk in, then they're not welcome. That's my boundary. I get to choose who will come into my house, who will be an invited guest. And if they're not invited, then they're not welcome. If somebody's in my house or with me and they want to use something of mine and I say it's fine, at the same time I expect it back. And that again is a boundary. I don't mind people using my things, but if it belongs to me, I would like it back. And if not, I will probably say something. Now, there's also boundaries on our personal lives and who we let in as a friend. For instance, let's say, go back a bit, personal space. We all have a personal space where we're comfortable with people coming this close. Now, for me personally, years ago, it would have been probably about 6 feet away. That's what I was comfortable with. If they got any closer, I would begin to feel uncomfortable. If somebody wanted to hug me, that was definitely uncomfortable. Now, that's years ago. Now, you can get within 2 or 3 feet and I'm fine with that. Any closer and I'd have to put my glasses on. But if somebody wants a hug now, I'm usually fine with that, depending on who it is. I have no problem hugging people. That's no longer an issue because I've received healing in areas, I've grown, I've become used to certain things. You see, boundaries are there either because we've had problems in the past which have caused us to put stronger boundaries up, or because we've been brought up with boundaries in our lives by our parents and it's just become normal. Or it could be that we don't have boundaries, that we don't limit who can come into our lives and what they can do, and at the same time we don't respect other people's boundaries because we don't really understand why they have them. Now, that is unhealthy. So I'm talking about healthy boundaries, and I want to make it really simple. If we have people in our lives that are putting us down or negative, or we don't feel good after they've gone, then that's a person that perhaps you need to limit their involvement in your life. If they're there and you are working with them in areas of their life that need to change, then that's one thing. But if not, one of the first things you can do is tell them what you're having a problem with and see if that changes things. But if it's a regular occurrence that they're always negative or always putting you down or telling you what you're doing wrong, then I would say it's probably wise to limit your involvement with them so that you are protected, because boundaries are there to protect us physically, protect us spiritually, protect us mentally and emotionally. Those are all areas that we need to protect. And only you know what is needed for you to have a healthy boundary so that other people cannot do damage in your life. We all have friends or people that come into our lives, but we will have a difference in how close those friends get, depending on how much you trust them. Intimate friends, you can tell your secrets to. You can share things with and you know that you can trust them. But other people may just be friends, but not ones you'd share your secrets with. There can be others that are acquaintances, they're in your life and you like them, but they're not everyday friends. All of these areas where you can have boundaries that again, you choose where you put those boundaries. You choose who is allowed to do what in your life. If you have people that are affecting you mentally or emotionally or even physically in a bad way, then those are the things you need to limit. Now, I would say that there are times when we have to tell people, this is a boundary for me, and I'm not comfortable with you doing that. And if they keep doing it, just tell them that you will have to limit your time together because you don't feel it's healthy, the way they're affecting you. Or you can just stop spending so much time with them if you don't feel like you want to explain it. But, you know, people will not know you've got boundaries unless you're willing to tell them that you're uncomfortable with them doing certain things. And we really owe it to them. If they're friends, we respect them, then we owe it to them to be upfront with how it's affecting us, with the boundaries that we've put in place. And it's not something we have to be embarrassed about, because if we value ourselves and value our lives and our time, then we need to place that value on it and tell other people what we're comfortable with and what we're not comfortable with, so that they know, because otherwise they're not going to do anything differently. And at the same time, we also need to be aware of other people's boundaries, that we know when we're crossing a boundary in their lives, because usually you can tell if they get angry at something you're doing more than once and it keeps happening, then you're probably crossing a boundary. And if we're getting angry at somebody else, very often it's a sign that there's a boundary issue. And that is totally up to us to make those choices and put those in place. Now, I hope this has been a help to you. For all of us, boundaries take time to put in place. It's not instantaneous. If you're trying to put a boundary in place where there hasn't been one, you're going to meet with resistance. The other person will probably be angry or upset. But just keep doing it, because they will get used to it. It will become normal. And when it does, hopefully, it will make a difference in their lives. Because if we're willing to have boundaries, then that gives other people the courage to do the same. I hope this has helped you. And I just encourage you, if you don't have healthy boundaries, to look at the areas of your life that are being affected and make decisions as to what would be healthy to protect your life, to protect your mental health. So I leave that with you, and I pray that God will help you to set healthy boundaries in place so that your life will be happier, healthier, and more productive. Bye for now.